It was supposed to be just another celebrity interview. JakeGyllenhaal.com/charismatic, poised as ever, sitting on the velvet couch of The View, smiling under the bright lights. Millions watched, expecting charm. What they got instead was chaos. The segment began like any other, but something was off. Beneath his polished smile, there was a crack, subtle at first, almost invisible. Then, with one pointed question, it all unraveled. The studio fell silent. Jake's voice, once steady and smooth, trembled not with fear, but with rage. His words pierced through the air, raw and unscripted. The hosts froze. Cameras kept rolling, producers scrambled behind the scenes, and within minutes, Jake's breakdown was trending across the globe. Viewers weren't just shocked, they were riveted. What could drive an A-list actor, beloved for his depth and restraint, to lose control on national television? Was it pressure, grief, or something far more personal? Something we weren't meant to see. This was no performance, it was a reckoning. Jake had walked onto that set with the weight of 1,000 headlines on his shoulders in the days leading up to The View. He'd been everywhere, magazine covers, red carpet interviews, late-night comedy spots, promoting a film that was already being dissected for its controversial themes. Every smile seemed tighter, every answer rehearsed. But on The View, there were no scripts. The hosts greeted him warmly, but underneath their cheerful tones was a sharpness, a readiness to probe, to press, to pierce through the Hollywood facade. The audience clapped. Jake smiled, but his eyes, they darted, searching, calculating. They talked movies, childhood, fame. But then, the shift came. Joy Behar leaned in. Do you ever feel like the roles you play are hiding something you're afraid to show in real life? The air thickened. Jake laughed too quickly. That's a heavy question for morning TV, he said. But the tremor in his voice betrayed him. There, in that moment, something broke. You could see it, not a crack, but a fracture. A man unraveling under the heat of performance and the weight of expectation. And The View, live and unfiltered, caught every second. The tension didn't just rise, it swelled, slow and suffocating. Jake shifted in his seat. His smile faltered. The hosts leaned forward, sensing blood in the water. Meghan McCain asked about a recent article, one that hinted at family strain, emotional exhaustion, and a rumored breakdown on set. Jake's jaw clenched. He laughed, but it was hollow. I don't think that's anyone's business, he said, his voice sharper now. Whoopi tried to steer the segment back to neutral ground. Let's talk about the film, she offered, but it was too late. The mood had changed. The audience was silent, the energy brittle. Then came the second strike. A follow-up question, casual in tone but loaded in meaning. Is it hard playing characters who are more stable than you feel inside? Asked Sarah N. Jake blinked. Once, twice, and then, the dam began to leak. He looked down at his hands, took a breath. You all think you know me, he said quietly. But you don't. You don't know what I've buried to keep smiling for these damn cameras. The room stilled, no one interrupted. His voice rose. Do you know what it's like to feel like a puppet? To have the world dissect your pain and call it art? Every word was a spark. The studio, the hosts, the viewers, frozen in disbelief. And somewhere, beneath that fury, was a man screaming. To be seen. The moment shattered like glass. Jake leaned forward, elbows on his knees, voice trembling with a rage that felt years in the making. You invite me here to talk about a movie, he said, but all you want is a breakdown you can turn into a headline. His hand slammed the armrest. The sound echoed across the set. Joy Behar opened her mouth, but no words came. Whoopi looked off camera, signaling someone, anyone, to intervene. But the cameras kept rolling. The audience sat in stunned silence. I've carried this weight for so long, Jake said, standing now, pacing. I've played heroes, addicts, cowards. I've disappeared into other men because it was easier than being myself. The studio lights cast sharp shadows across his face. His eyes burned. And now you want to talk about my mental health? You want to poke holes in me until I bleed ratings? A stage manager appeared at the edge of the frame. Someone whispered, cut to commercial, but the feed kept going. Jake turned to the audience. Do you think this is entertainment? Is my pain just part of your morning routine? Security stepped closer. Then, like a wave crashing against a wall, it stopped. Jake froze, looked around, his breathing slowed. The rage drained from his face, leaving something far more terrifying, emptiness. He walked off set without another word. And just like that, the show cut to black. The broadcast returned, but something had changed. The host sat stiffly, eyes wide, voices shaky. Joy tried to laugh it off. Well, that was unexpected. But no one joined in. Whoopi offered a thin apology to viewers. Live television, she muttered. You never know what you're gonna get. But behind the camera, chaos bloomed. Producers scrambled. Legal teams whispered. PR agents' phones lit up like wildfire. Within minutes, clips of Jake's breakdown flooded social media. Hashtags exploded. Jaconthaview, Live Meltdown, Protect Jake. News outlets swarmed. Some called it a meltdown, others a cry for help. Headlines battled for dominance. Jake Gyllenhaal snaps on daytime TV. Asterisk actor walks off live set. Hollywood cracks in real time. Asterisk. His team remained silent. No statement, no tweet. Just a void where explanation should be. Meanwhile, The View faced backlash too. Viewers accused the hosts of baiting, of pushing too far. Old clips resurfaced, celebrities breaking down under the same lights, the same questions. The network issued a bland statement: we support mental health and privacy. But the damage was done. What had started as a promotional appearance had become a cultural event. A real, raw moment in an industry built on Polish. And for Jake Gyllenhaal, the cost of honesty had just begun to reveal itself. The world watched, judged, and speculated, but beneath the noise was a deeper storm. In the days that followed, Jake vanished. No paparazzi shots, no public statements, just silence. But the internet didn't rest. Fans flooded timelines with messages of support. We love you, Jake. You don't owe anyone your pain. Mental health advocates stepped in, urging compassion. Yet others mocked him. Late-night hosts turned the moment into punchlines. Memes spread. TikToks reenacted the breakdown. Hollywood insiders whispered. Was the film's release in jeopardy? Would studios distance themselves? A Netflix executive was quoted anonymously. He's brilliant, but unstable. Sponsors paused deals. Talk show invites were rescinded. Then came the deeper cuts. Tabloids unearthed old interviews. Moments when Jake's eyes looked tired, when his smile cracked at the edges. A clip from 2014 went viral. Jake asked about loneliness, replying, I don't think I've ever really known peace. Suddenly, the breakdown wasn't an outlier. It was a pattern. A former co-star tweeted, he's been carrying things most of us never saw. Maybe now we will. And yet, the industry waited, cold, calculating, wondering would he recover? Or had Jake Gyllenhaal, the actor, been eclipsed by Jake Gyllenhaal? The man who broke the silence was no longer quiet. It was deafening. But this moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was built over years, brick by invisible brick. Jake Gyllenhaal had always been known for intensity. From Donnie Darko to Nightcrawler, he dove headfirst into pain, trauma, obsession. But off-screen there were signs, quiet ones, a cancelled appearance here, a distant stare in an interview there. Co-stars spoke of his method, disappearing into roles, locking himself in rooms, losing sleep for weeks. One director once said, Jake doesn't play the part, he becomes the wound. He rarely spoke about his personal life. When he did, it was guarded. A strained relationship with fame, the death of close friends, the guilt of surviving in an industry that devours emotion but punishes vulnerability. Years ago, in a podcast interview few noticed, he admitted something chilling. Sometimes I don't know where the character ends and I begin. Now, that quote echoes like prophecy. The View didn't break Jake. It exposed the fault lines already beneath him. There's a cost to becoming everyone else on screen. Sometimes, you lose yourself in the process. Jake's breakdown wasn't just a moment of weakness, that it was the scream of a man who'd been silent for far too long. Days turned into a week. Then finally, a statement appeared, not from his publicist, not from a studio, but from Jake himself. A single photo on Instagram, black background, white text, I am stepping away. For now, he didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He just acknowledged what the world had seen. What happened on that stage was real, and I won't pretend it wasn't. The post ended with 7 words. Please give me space to breathe again. The industry responded with silence, a cautious, waiting silence. Some praised his honesty. Others distanced themselves. The talk shows moved on, the hashtags faded, but something lingered. The View never aired the full segment again. The network quietly pulled the episode from streaming. No reruns, no archives. Behind the scenes, insiders said he declined interviews, turned down offers, moved out of the city, gone dark. A man once defined by roles, now choosing no role at all. Some say it's over, that Jake won't return. Others believe this. It's just an intermission, that he's rebuilding not a career, but a self. Whatever the case, Hollywood blinked. For one moment, the illusion cracked. And from that crack, something honest, something human, poured out. So what are we left with? A man walked onto a stage to talk about a film, and instead, exposed a wound the world wasn't ready to see. Jake Gyllenhaal, the actor, the star, the chiseled face of prestige cinema, let the mask slip. And behind it wasn't madness, it was pain, real, raw, unfiltered. The View gave us more than a viral moment. It gave us a mirror reflecting how we consume breakdowns like entertainment, how we applaud vulnerability, then weaponize it, how we cheer for authenticity, until it becomes uncomfortable. Maybe Jake didn't break, maybe he finally stopped performing, and maybe that's the most honest thing a man in his position could have done. So the question isn't what happened to Jake Gyllenhaal. The question is, what happens to a world that punishes a man for telling the truth? We watched it live. Now, it's up to us what we do with it. It's a moment that will linger in Hollywood history, raw, unfiltered, unforgettable. Jake Gyllenhaal's breakdown on The View wasn't just a headline. It was a seismic shift. It cracked the polished surface of celebrity, revealing the fragile humanity underneath. And as cameras stopped rolling, as the studio emptied, one thing became clear. Behind every performance, every red carpet smile, lies. A story untold. This was Jake's story told in real time, in front of millions. A story of pressure, pain, and the unbearable weight of expectation. A story that refuses to be scripted because sometimes the most powerful drama is the one no one planned to show. As the dust settles, one truth remains undeniable. The glare of the spotlight can both illuminate and scorch. Jake Gyllenhaal's moment on The View was a reminder. Fame is not armor, it's a cage. In that cage, the line between performance and reality blurs. Until the two become indistinguishable, we cheered his characters, but failed to see the man. We demanded perfection, but punished imperfection. And now, as Jake steps back from the public eye, we are forced to confront our own complicity. What happens when the world expects strength, but forgets to offer grace? This breakdown was more than a spectacle. It was a call for empathy, a challenge for all of us to look beyond the surface and recognize the fragile humanity beneath. The question now is not just about Jake Gyllenhaal, it's about all of us. How long can we demand resilience without compassion? How many breakdowns will we watch before we start listening? In a culture obsessed with image, the truth is messy, complicated, and often uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. Jake's unraveling was a fracture in the facade, a moment of brutal honesty in a world that thrives on illusion. And if we can learn anything from this, it's that beneath every celebrity, every public figure, is a human being struggling to be seen and to be understood. The real story isn't the meltdown, it's what happens next. This isn't the end of Jake Gyllenhaal's story, it's a turning point, a chance for healing, for reinvention, for reclaiming his narrative on his own terms. Hollywood may be ruthless, but it's also full of second acts. And perhaps this raw moment on The View was the beginning of something new, a rebirth not just for Jake, but for how we talk about fame, pain, and mental health. That the cameras may have stopped rolling, but the conversation has only just begun, and in that silence, there is hope. That hope that one day, the man behind the mask can find peace, away from the lights, the questions, and the endless gaze. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones written in quiet resilience, as the world waits. One thing is certain. The image of Jake Gyllenhaal on that stage will not fade. It's etched into the collective memory of millions who witnessed a man stripped bare, vulnerable and real. That moment changed the conversation forever. It challenged the way we view celebrities, mental health, and the pressure to perform, and maybe, just maybe, it opened a door to greater understanding, deeper empathy, and a new kind of courage. Because beneath the spotlight, behind the headlines, there is a simple truth. We are all human. And sometimes breaking down is the only way to break through.